do a outlook for 11th of September. So the week beginning for that is, I believe we will have a bullish week. And the reason why I say this is because if you switch to your monthly time frame, you can look from the month of July and August that we've been bullish, and then the target I had in mind is a monthly/daily FVG. And then also if you skip to your weekly time frame, we've had bullish weeks since 17th of July, and the reason for that is because we achieved our target down here, and then since then we've pushed up and we've had very little retracements on the higher time frame. So I'm going to go from my weekly to the daily. Even in the daily, we've struggled to have a good retracement down to give us some good swing entries, which is fine because then as intraday traders we can still look for entries in our 1 hour to 5 minute time frame. So right now, just looking at the dollar from here, we've tapped into my daily volume imbalance. This should push the price down, but then you need to also look at the narrative and what's actually going around this volume imbalance. So you need to look at, we've swept liquidity here, we've had a market structure shift, we've closed above here and we've closed above here. We've respected a lot of bullish arrays leading up to this, and then just because it's then landed into a bearish volume imbalance, I'm not going to go say, okay, now we need to go down because we've not achieved the target. You need to look at what price has been running to all this time, and this monthly FVG is the prime target for this month or the start of October. So right now we've got a daily FVG here. I'm going to quickly go to this. So this is a imbalance in price, which obviously will get filled eventually, whether we fill it and then move up or we fill it by violating the full FVG. But either way, we've filled that imbalance. So currently on how we closed on the Friday was bullish because we went down, and if you had go down to your 4 hour to 1 hour time frame, you'll see that we may have swept liquidity or filled an imbalance and then pushed our way up. But this candle, I'm going to ignore it. I'm just going to focus on this candle here. The reason I ignore this candle is because Friday I don't really consider as an important day to tell me or give me an indication on what we're going to do next week. I just focus on the Tuesday to the Thursday, and Monday I ignore out as well. So in between Monday and Friday we were bullish and we're heading towards this. Right now we've just stumbled across our volume imbalance. I think this will get violated. Whether we run through this volume imbalance by just going straight up, or we run through this volume imbalance by tapping into this daily FVG and then going up. So those are the two ways that price is going to most likely push up. But then if you switch to your 4 hour time frame on the dollar and look at what's actually happening is, so on the 4 hour, so that's a daily volume imbalance we've tapped into and then we've pushed down in the daily time frame. So on the 4 hour time frame, we've got this 4 hour OB. We've had no candle closures inside it on the 4 hour time frame, so that is telling me that we're respecting this array and we want to push up on price. We did, however, have our last sweep of liquidity with this candle, which swept out the lows, this low, this low, and this low, all these lows here, and then we've pushed up and we've created a order block here, another one on the 4 hour. But I'm going to go down to my 1 hour time frame. There's not really much to work with, so go down to the 30 minute. I can see that I've got a 30 minute FVG here. So what I think would most likely happen for opening Monday price would be that we run down to here into this 30 minute fair value gap and then we push up. If we might not even run down here and we might just push up and then take out the monthly FVG, which is around up here somewhere. Or if none of that happens, what is most likely going to happen is if I get rid of this now, we're going to go down here, close below this low on our 4 hour time frame, which will give me the confirmation for that we're either going to, so if we close below this low on the 4 hour time frame, with displacement, we're going to either go for, I'm not going to think this is now us moving down to take out all of these lows here. I'm just going to see that as we're only pushing down as a retracement, and then before we move up. So just because we're closing below here doesn't fully 99% give me a confirmation that I should start looking for a bearish trade. I'm just seeing that as we push down here to only land in this hour 4 fair value gap, or this hour 4 fair value gap, or this will be down here. So you need to think about it, just because after we've had a break of structure or a market structure shift, where has price then landed into? And price always lands into a point of interest where it wants to then do something else and grab liquidity. So that's pretty much it for the dollar, but then my best case scenario was the first one I showed, and it was, let me just draw it out again. My best case scenario for Monday is we go down to this 30-minute fair value gap, we push up. In between this, on the 50-minute time frame, we've had some intermediate highs. We're going to close above them. We're going to create a fair value gap somewhere like this. We're going to go down here, and then we're going to go up. So this is where I would like to enter. So you need to imagine these candles being printed out in your head for you to then recognize your system and the moves which come. So you can look back in hindsight and then spot out your system, but then I personally have now refrained from back testing because I feel like it gives me false confidence that I don't need, and it doesn't help me when I'm live trading. So it's just better to forward test and imagine, so draw up stuff and then see did that actually happen, and that will make you a much better trader than just looking at old data and then constantly back testing in replay mode. But so that's where I would like to enter for a long, and this is where I would obviously be entering into shorts on my GU and EU. I don't do a EU and GU outlook. I just kind of mark up, to be honest, see if I've got I just mark up my previous daily lows, previous weekly high, or like if I've got a daily fair value gap or sell side or buy side liquidity, just to give me an idea when I quickly go and switch into that chart. All you need is a dollar, to be honest, and EG for you to trade Forex. EG only if you're trading the euro or the pound. So for the dollar, I would like this to happen. I've got OCD, I need to draw it properly. Right. So yeah, I'm gonna quickly then switch to my EG. So looking at EG tells me what pair I should look at. So if I want obviously the dollar to go up, I'm going to look to short a pair, and I'm going to short the pair which is the weakest, and if EG is going up, that means GU is the weaker pair, so you're better off shorting that. So for EG, I've got this marked up on the daily time frame. Down here, this grey box is our 4-hour fair value gap, and we've also tapped into the weekly OB. From here, while we tapped into this, we took out all of this sell side liquidity, and then next thing we will hunt for is buy side liquidity. But it's kind of a 50-50 situation right now, because the way we ended our Thursday candle and the Friday candle doesn't really give me confidence that we fully want to go up. So as much as this is what I predict, I am still open for bearish price action, which could look like this. But I will wait for that to happen once we've printed out a few more 4-hour candles. So Asia session should most likely tell us, to be honest, what Monday is going to do, and you just wait until you get confirmation that we're either bearish or bullish on EG. But right now I'm only going to favour a bullish price action, just because we've tapped into a higher time frame bullish array, and then we've swept out some sell side liquidity, and I feel like these highs need to go before we now head down towards any other sell side liquidity. So dollar, I'm bullish. EG, I'm bullish. That means I need to short the pound. So I'm going to switch to my Forex ones and then go to GU. So this is what I would like to short, and I would like to target the low from 6th of June. So basically right now I'm going to ignore all of these candles back down here because I just feel like they're out of context and I don't need to think about that. I've already done all of this part when I was thinking of the outlook I did for dollar. So just focus on my past three candles, and what I've done is we had a daily fair value gap created here, we've tapped into it, we've had a bearish reaction which is good, and then I feel like this OB may cause a consolidation in price before we end up targeting the sell side liquidity, but then this low here relatively matches up with this high here. So this is what we need to violate, this volume imbalance. When we do that, we will also have taken out this low down here. So I'm bearish on my EU and GU, but I am going to favour GU shorts more than EU depending on EG being bullish. But then if EG is weak, I'm going to favour EU. Normally EU is a better pair because EU confluences well with the dollar. Like, it will have a lot more confluences with the dollar rather than the pound having confluence. I don't know why, I just feel like the pound dollar is more choppy and you don't really get the cleaner entries. So EU, I'm going to target the low from 6th of June, and then yeah, so on GU I'm also going to target the low for 6th of June, and on my lower time frame that looks like I've just marked out here 4 hour time, 1 hour, 2 hour, I think it's 1 hour, yeah. So on the 1 hour we've swept internal buy side liquidity, we've got all of these lows which will definitely get taken, and then the next question is obviously taking out this daily sell side liquidity which I had marked, and then for my GU we've tapped into the daily FEG as you can see on the lower time frame. We've got this 2 hour OB which I think we will retrace back into, and then we will target previous weekly low being the first one. This might get taken first, and then we might have a retracement up here, and then we go down to our daily sell side liquidity. So that's pretty much on the Forex side. I'm going to switch to now SPX. For SPX, we're also in a 50-50 situation. For SPX, I've already looked at NASDAQ and Dow Jones, but I'm going to use, I just treat SPX as my dollar index, and then I just work off that and then see what NASDAQ and Dow Jones are going to do. So right now we've just tapped into this daily fair value gap on our daily time frame, but on the monthly we've tapped into our monthly FEG. We had a good reaction up, but then we've kind of failed to push up above this high and this high here, which leaves us in the equilibrium in the smaller range. And then if I was going to show you in the weekly time frame. So looking at bullish and bearish arguments, I can only really favour bullish arguments because it doesn't really make sense for me to look at shorts right now. Although price may look like we're going to take out this low, which is still possible, but then it's the game of probabilities. I just feel like the probabilities of us pushing higher is way more than us pushing lower down. So on the weekly, we've tapped into our weekly OB, but then you need to remind yourself the monthly time frame is more important than the weekly time frame, and then the weekly time frame is more important than the daily time frame. So whatever higher time frame, so you need, if you have more confluences for a bullish bias in the higher time frame, you go with your bullish bias, not with your bearish bias. But just looking at it from a bullish perspective right now, we've tapped into the monthly FEG. On the weekly, we've also been bullish. On the daily, we've had a market structure shift by closing above here. This is where we tapped into the weekly OB, but then we've kind of failed to fully displace down at the beginning. We just consolidated at the start, and then trying to read this bit here. So yeah, we didn't tap into this daily FEG, which is completely fine. We can still tap into it, but I just feel like for now that is not needed. This is most likely going to get protected, and we're going to push up for this daily FEG up here. The reason I said that was because NASDAQ, we've still not tapped into our daily FEG. Dow Jones, we've also not tapped into our daily FEG, so this is why I will favour bullish price action for SPX, and then on my daily time frame, actually on my lower time frames for SPX, I've just got this. I'm not thinking about what is going to happen after I've took out this previous weekly high. I will see how we close above this previous weekly high before I start then assuming, are we going to go down or are we going to go up. Right now you just need to look at your next target, and the next one is either this or this. So, and this I favour more, just because in the lower time frame we're pushing up rather than going down, and we've not really respected any bearish array. Because if we had respected this daily FEG, we would have on Friday took this low here and closed below here, and then this would be my next weekly target. But this is what I expect for Monday. I want previous weekly high to be taken, and then I will make another judgment of what price is going to do. And on my yen pairs, I don't really look at yen pairs, but then I sometimes just look just to see what's going on. And then on the JPY index, it's quite obvious that we're going to take the low from 30th of August. Just because we've had so much sell side liquidity built up here, we've tapped into our bearish array, respected that. If I was going to show you, so yeah, we've not had any body closure in this weekly fair value gap, and also in the daily we've had lower lows, a lower low, and a lower low here, which is obviously a bearish market structure, and this low should get taken, and then I treat this as DXY, and I kind of ignore EU and EJ and then GJ, just because I feel like you only need to look at one pair to make a judgment on these. It's the same as looking at EU and GU, because you'll just pick the weaker pair. If you're going to short this, you need to be thinking about longing one of these pairs, and then you long the stronger pair. So as I said, EG, I want it to be bullish, then I will favour EJ longs. So I've just picked the high from 7th of September as my target right now for EJ, and then for GJ I've also picked the 7th of September high. But if I was going to go down to my lower time frames, I've got this trade set up here for which I'm not 100% sure, because I will wake up at the Asia session and see if it's actually worth taking, and I will take this, but I'll send this out in the group if I see it, and I'll probably send it at 2 a.m. But yeah, so for my 1 hour time frame, I'm just going to target 7th of September high as well. And that's pretty much it for the outlooks. I will send out the the graphs in the group later on, and I'll put an annotation of what I expect. But that's pretty much it for this week's outlook.